It was 1:20 a.m., and Chu Qiao closed the door to the bathroom. The silence of the prison was deafening. It was the time when the human body felt its weakest. But Chu Qiao remained composed. She washed her hands with deliberate calm. The only sound echoing was the soft splashing of water. The prison was eerily quiet, the atmosphere thick with tension. This was the hour when even the most trained individuals would struggle to maintain their vigilance. But Chu Qiao didn't show any sign of fatigue. She dried her hands, her pulse steady, her mind already calculating the next move. As the water swirled down the drain, Chu Qiao could feel the seconds ticking away. 10, 9, 8. The countdown echoed in her mind, each passing number another step closer to her goal. The weight of her plan, years in the making, seemed to press on her chest. The moment she reached 0, a sudden, muffled bang shattered the stillness. Water exploded from a pipe, flooding the cell. The dim glow from the burst illuminated her face for a brief second before she was knocked to the floor by the powerful force of the jet of water. The sound of chaos outside the cell door signaled the prison guards' panic. They scrambled, unsure whether the prisoner was alive or dead. In their confusion, they hastily keyed in the access code, rushing in, unaware that they had just walked into a carefully orchestrated trap. As the guards barged into the cell, Chu Qiao, once thought unconscious, opened her eyes. They were wide and alert. With the grace of a predator, she sprang into action, her body agile and swift. Before the guards could react, the heavy door slammed shut behind her, trapping them inside. Ignoring their shouts, Chu Qiao sprinted toward the surveillance room. She was a blur of motion, each step purposeful. Inside, she quickly accessed the footage from earlier, editing it with practiced hands. Her movements were precise, her mind focused. There was no room for error. Within seconds, she transferred the footage to a small DVD, deleting the original. The camera was now angled just right. Chu Qiao placed a chair under it, ensuring the footage played uninterrupted. The deception was flawless. The guards had no idea what had just transpired. She checked her watch. The mini-explosive device she had planted was already in the process of self-repair. The burst pipe, now mending itself with a special adhesive, would be undetectable in a few seconds. The clock was ticking down. Every move had been timed to perfection. Meanwhile, the prison guards, trapped in their cell, were raging. Their furious screams were muffled by the thick concrete walls, their frustration a distant hum. But none of it reached Chu Qiao's ears. She was already focusing on the next phase of her escape. The surveillance equipment flickered back to life. The main station was none the wiser. They saw only what had been recorded earlier. Chu Qiao, calm and seated on her bed. The guards, doing their rounds, were oblivious. It was all part of the plan. Chu Qiao's eyes scanned the room once more, ensuring everything was in order. She was a master of her surroundings, every detail noted. The silence, the tension in the air, it all pointed to the next step. She was getting closer, but there was still more to do. She returned to the surveillance room and opened the reserve box containing the prison guards' extra uniforms. A quick change, and she was now one of them. A disguise that would get her past any checkpoints. Her transformation was seamless. She was ready for the next stage. As she donned the uniform, her mind raced through the details of the plan. The prison was a fortress, and every exit had its own challenge. But Chu Qiao had thought of everything. She was ready for whatever came next. The hardest part was yet to come. The prison's defenses were impressive, but they were also predictable. She knew their patterns, the weaknesses. When she stepped out of the surveillance room, she knew that the guards stationed outside would be the first real test of her disguise. The moment she walked into the corridor, the guards' eyes narrowed. They weren't familiar with her. Their instincts screamed that something was wrong. The leader of the group raised his weapon, his voice commanding, "Stop there! Who are you?" His suspicion was clear. Chu Qiao didn't flinch. She met their gaze with confidence, her voice steady. "I am Colonel Liu Siwei from the Military Law Department. I have urgent documents for Lieutenant Colonel Tan Zhongming." The lie came effortlessly, a part of her plan that had been rehearsed countless times. The guards hesitated, confusion flickering across their faces. The leader frowned. "Lieutenant Colonel Tan is off duty. Who are you really?" The moment stretched out, but Chu Qiao didn't waver. She had anticipated this moment. Her next words would seal her fate. "I was invited by Warden Li of the 4th prison. Colonel Lu Fanghao escorted me here 3 days ago," she explained, her voice calm and authoritative. She had the military lingo down, and the guards were beginning to doubt their own judgment. The soldier's eyes widened as Chu Qiao continued. "You should know military regulations. Do you even know who I am? What's your unit's serial number?" The question hung in the air, forcing the soldier to reconsider his position. His demeanor shifted, respect taking over. "My serial number is 475, from the 8th Southern Army," the soldier responded, his tone softer now. Chu Qiao's expression softened, her plan working perfectly. She nodded. "Ah, the 8th Army. How is Commander Liu? I worked in the intelligence department there. Send him my regards when you see him." The soldier straightened, now fully convinced of her identity. The respect in his eyes was evident. "Ma'am, Commander Liu is doing well. We'll stay a few more days before heading back to the south," he replied, his voice filled with reverence. Chu Qiao's plan was unfolding exactly as intended. "Good," Chu Qiao said, her voice calm. "I need you to fax these documents to the transmitting center, 2 forms in 1. Also, inform Advisor Zhang and Commander." She didn't need to finish her sentence. The soldier nodded, eager to follow her instructions. She had him in the palm of her hand. With the guard distracted, Chu Qiao walked past him, her pace steady and measured. Every step brought her closer to the ultimate objective. The prison's defenses were formidable, but she was a shadow in their midst, unseen and unheard. As she moved deeper into the prison, the corridors grew darker. The air was thick with the weight of secrets. Chu Qiao knew this place better than anyone. The surveillance footage would buy her enough time to reach her destination, but she had to move quickly. The layout of the prison was etched in her memory. Level 4, where she currently was reserved for the highest-ranking detainees, military commanders and secret agents awaiting trial. But it was Level 2, where she needed to go, that would hold the answers she sought. The guards at the outer corridor were alert, their weapons ready. The air was tense, the atmosphere thick with suspicion. Chu Qiao could feel the tension rising. She was about to pass the last checkpoint, the final test before freedom. "Stop!" the leader barked, raising his weapon. "Who are you?" His eyes narrowed, scanning her face for any sign of deception. But Chu Qiao was prepared. She straightened her back, her expression unreadable. She was the embodiment of authority. "Colonel Liu Siwei from the Military Law Department," she said, her voice commanding. "I have urgent documents for Lieutenant Colonel Tan Zhongming." She didn't hesitate. Her words were measured, the lie woven so perfectly it sounded like truth. The leader hesitated. Something wasn't right, but the soldier had already been disarmed by her confidence. "I'm sorry, ma'am. I didn't recognize you," he said, stepping aside. The others followed suit, and Chu Qiao continued on her path, one step closer to her goal. She passed the guards without a second glance, her heart pounding in her chest. The hardest part was over. She was inside the inner sanctum now, and nothing would stand in her way. Her next move was crucial, but she had already outsmarted the system. Chu Qiao's steps echoed through the corridor as she moved towards her final destination. The doors ahead loomed like the last obstacle between her and freedom.